I am multimedia legend and megastar, and my own description, I might add, of John Blackman.
Oh, hard to take. And I'm mild-mannered community pharmacist, master herbalist and media health commentator and author, Gerald Quigley.
And an all-round good guy and a pretty good golfer too. Welcome to our regular podcast of If Pain Persists.
And in this episode, John, we're going to be discussing fibromyalgia, a big word, but one that actually can cause major issues.
Fibromyalgia.
Yes.
That's easy for you to say.
I know.
Hi there, and welcome to our podcast, If Pain Persists, hosted by media legend John Blackman and Gerald Quigley, pharmacist and master herbalist. If this is your first time listening, thanks for dropping in. There's plenty more to come. These podcasts are all about avoiding pain, keeping healthy, and enjoying life. Visit our website, ifpainpersists.com, where you'll find all our podcasts and you'll be able to post questions about your health on Gerald's blog. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and subscribe to If Pain Persists on iTunes. It's free. Now, let's get on with the show.
Fibromyalgia. Now, I have heard this word often enough, but I actually don't know what it is. Fibromyalgia pain. What is it?
If I change that word to fibrositis...
Oh, no, it was inflammation of your
inflammation of muscle fibres.
Ah, okay.
How about that? See, right. we've just detechnicalised, which is a word I've just made up, what fibromyalgia is. Look, it really is an issue, John, which is at the end of the spectrum for a person who constantly presents in pain.
What are the common symptoms we see, Gerald?
Let me run.
Walk into your cyber pharmacy.
Let me run through a number of them, bearing in mind, think here, long-term frustration at nothing working and no positive diagnosis being made. So a person who is diagnosed with fibromyalgia is often beside themselves because nothing else seems to have been able to be specified as far as a problem.
What are the symptoms?
Chronic, the word meaning it just doesn't go away, and generalised aches, pains and stiffness involving more than 3 sites for more than 3 months.
Extremities?
No more, say, shoulders, elbows, these sorts of things, back. But 3 sites of pain, not one, 3 sites, 3 months. So here we've got a person that's had agonising pain for 3 months and nothing's working.
And they've been to doctors, they've been to neurosurgeons, they've been to whoever, they've been to chiropractors and nobody can find out what the problem is?
Normally, John, this diagnosis is often made by a specialist, say a rheumatologist who is an expert in joints and muscles and muscle fibres and things like that. But there are other symptoms, so that's one. The other is poor sleep. Poor sleep, particularly deep sleep. Now, deep sleep is the recuperative sleep. That's the sleep where we move into. So we go up and down out of sleep patterns.
Is that REM?
That one. No, REM's at the top. This is deep sleep where your body virtually shuts down. And
so you die almost?
No.
No.
No, it's not that bad. No.
But sometimes my wife... I often bring her up in these podcasts, but I swear that she's actually, gone to God because she's not moving. And is she having deep sleep?
I think you think she's gone to God because you don't get the elbow in your side to stop snorting, snoring, and generally talking to yourself.
No.
And I haven't been in your bedroom. I'm just guessing.
I honestly have to occasionally, when we're in bed, just nudge her with my finger just to make sure that she reacts to that, that nudge, my finger in the back.
I've got a question.
I've dug myself a bit of a hole here.
I've got a question here. What relationship does that have with fibromyalgia? Can we just go back on topic?
Let's just wind back the podcast. Now, why did I think of that question?
I have no idea.
No, you're talking about deep sleep.
Yeah, I was. And we'll do sleep as a separate topic one day, and then you can tell me about all Cecile's sleeping problems which interfere with your quality of life.
I am getting you way off track
I'm just trying to keep your relationship together. Another symptom is multiple tender joints. So your fingers might be tender to touch. You might say, oh, gee, that's... And there's nothing to see, but it might be tender.
Well, that's what I meant, the extremities. I do have occasionally...
Oh, here we go. Here's the hypochondriacs coming here.
No, it's not. I have little twinges in my fingers, and I think, wonder what that is. And I'm thinking, well, it's just probably, passing
Let me guess
pain.
when they happen. When you go to open your wallet.
No,
That's
but
when
very
it'll be.
good, yes.
That's when
Yes.
it'll be.
I
You'll
find
say,
they're
"Oh,
allergic to
okay."
Amex cards.
That's right. Yeah. No, I've heard of. I've got some friends like that. Severe fatigue. Now, this is a person who's in pain, and because they're not getting that deep recuperative sleep, they are always tired. So you sit in a chair, you fall asleep. Even though you're in pain and you're thinking, oh, if only I could do something, you're severely fatigued.
Yeah, but that's not good sleep, though, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
It affects more women, many more women than men. Maybe with a stronger sex. I don't know. I'll probably regret I've said that.
Well, yes, I'm not saying anything in case I say something.
Women's pain and tendency to fibromyalgia, we think it's hormonal. So that could be, and there's no age here. So middle-aged people get it, older people get it, much more common.
But women, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be getting myself into trouble here too.
You probably are.
Women have a much higher pain threshold than us blokes, don't they?
No, I don't think so.
Now you're in trouble.
20% of fibromyalgia sufferers are over 60 years of age. I saw a lady just recently who had a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and she says hers started 3 or 4 months ago because it was a fine day, one of those nice sunny days, and she spent the whole day with hedge clippers, clipping.
Yeah.
And the following morning woke up, couldn't move her shoulders, her elbows, her wrists, everything else.
Well, she's obviously suffering from RSI, repetitive snipping injury.
That's it.
Yeah.
You've been waiting to do that, haven't you? She went to her GP and the normal pain relievers weren't making any difference. So she went, eventually referred to a specialist, which is the procedure, and was put on some steroids, some prednisolone, and no, that's okay. It's short. Don't.
Well,
what was that sigh for?
No, I've had that.
Yeah, and what's it done?
Well, it could totally addled my brain, is what it did. But but we might do another podcast on prednisolone.
Prednisolone. We might.
Yeah, I know. I never know how to pronounce it. But I know what you're talking about.
We might define the word addled as well. While we're at it.
Where were we? Oh, yes, that's right.
So we've got tender spots. So we've got aches and pains, but the big differential diagnosis thing is if you push parts of that, say, sore shoulder, it hurts like blazes. So
especially if you've got a sore finger.
Yes. Well, that's the other thing, but someone else's finger doing that.
Yeah.
Now, it could be brought on by things, so it's like a flu-like illness, essentially.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the flu?
No.
The real flu?
No.
Not man flu.
No.
Real flu.
No, I've never had the flu.
People who have had the flu tell me that it feels as if you've been run over by a truck. Yep. You're lethargic, you're tired, you're in pain, aches and pains. That's an infection-caused inflammation, a viral infection, and that can often be a trigger. So you can actually have the flu and be left with these symptoms, which may end up being diagnosed as fibromyalgia. Another thing...
It is an actual... fibromyalgia is an actual sort of...
It's the disease. It's the
disease, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost a potentially chronic disease, which has got to be differentially diagnosed with all those 3 spots, 3 months that we were talking about before, and it's separate to anything else. So it's not osteoarthritis, it's not rheumatoid arthritis, it's not gout, it's not all of those things.
There's no... What I'm asking, Gerald, is there's no cure for it? Fibromyalgia, is there one magic pill you can take?
Well, that's that one you can't pronounce, prednisolone.
Oh, prednisolone.
Yes, because that massively stops all those inflammatory neurotransmitters, just stops them in their tracks. Normally you might take that for 5, 7, 10 days and then slowly start withdrawing it, and that usually brings your levels of inflammation, which you can see on a blood test you've had, and they're called a CRP, C-reactive protein.
Right.
And if they come right down, then things are controlled. But the symptoms can return.
There's always a but, because do you have to take this prednisone, what you said before, for the rest of your life?
No. You bring it until it's under control.
But then does the fibromyalgia come back?
It might, but usually if a person's had the problem and it's been managed and fixed, they know what pushes them up there. So if ever they get any generalised aches and pains, they think of what they've been doing just in the previous couple of days and maybe back off that. So it's a matter of controlling your exposure, your risk to inflammation.
Now, I've actually heard, Gerald, that a tick bite can cause this. Is that true?
This is, we're talking here, John, about Lyme disease, and we may do a session on that. We've got so much to do.
Yeah.
Lyme disease.
So little time, so much to do.
That's right.
Yeah. Little time, so many diseases.
So many interruptions. Lyme disease is an infection transmitted by a specific species of a tick.
Now, I know a bloke And we've seen him on television, and his name is Seal,
Yes.
and he was a judge on The Voice, and his condition was caused by Lyme disease. So was he bitten by a tick at some stage?
I don't know. But the difficulty about Lyme disease, John, is that in Australia, sadly, it's not recognised. Experts say we don't have any of that disease in Australia. Now, there are hundreds, probably thousands of people who are being treated for various issues that have been initiated by an unknown tick bite.
And
So-
you wouldn't know because the tick just bites you. And then
Well, you do. You do know
you?
because it has a bullseye type mark after you've been bitten. So if you've been in the bush where they have these mosquito and bush type areas, if you are bitten and you see as a result of that a bullseye type thing, so it's concentric rings that are coloured,
Different
usually
colours,
red,
yeah.
that is a tick bite. That
Wow.
needs serious attention to the doctor straight away.
Does the tick, like the bee, leave its stinger in you?
No.
No. So he bites you.
Draws out blood, injects and then draws out blood.
Okay, right.
And when you see a Borrelia tick that's fed, it's gruesome. You know, it's a great big thing full of red.
Look,
So-
again, it's gruesome more.
Yeah, that's probably something that I think in time we will understand a lot more. Let's hope those that are suffering and struggling with Lyme disease-like symptoms, which is all that academia will actually call it at the moment, Lyme disease-like symptoms, get prompt attention and get care, because that issue, fibromyalgia is one.
Yeah.
You can get neurological issues, you can have behavioural issues, change personality, all because of the tick.
Yeah, so a tick bite can be misdiagnosed as fibromyalgia, or it can cause fibromyalgia.
It could be one of the initiating causes.
Right.
So because and Lyme disease is a copy disease. It's a mimic disease. It mimics a lot of other diseases, and that's treated without actually addressing the original cause, which is the bite of the tick. Let's look enough about ticks.
Yes.
Mosquitoes.
All right, yes.
Let's look at some suggestions. Now we're talking here because we're talking muscles and things like that. We're talking mitochondrial function. I know that. Don't roll your eyes again.
Yes.
Mitochondria.
Yes.
It's like a little. In every cell, we've got a little engine.
Right.
And and part of that engine, the core of that engine, is called the mitochondria.
Right, okay.
So you would agree with me that's pretty important to keep healthy.
That's pretty important to keep healthy, Gerald. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And the main nutrient we think of in mitochondrial function is coenzyme Q10.
Oh, well, everybody knows that.
Well, they should, because because that coenzyme Q10 is stored in our heart mitochondrial cells.
Right.
So there's one little organ you want to keep ticking along nicely. It's your ticker.
Can you buy this Q10 at health food stores?
You can buy it in a pharmacy or health food store. There's
Yeah.
lots of different brands.
Yeah.
You need 150 milligram twice a day, which you should be taking.
I think I am, actually.
You wouldn't know what
She
you're
gives me. She puts a little bowl out when we have dinner.
Yes.
And my
Actually-
daughter and I were forced to take these pills.
Actually, and the problem was the day you got that bowl mixed up with a cat food. Anyway, so coenzyme Q10, very important. Vitamin C, very important,
Yeah.
particularly in powder form.
And can food allergies cause fibromyalgia?
Yes, it can, because anything that causes an inflammatory response. Look, there's a bloke I know who he showed me a selfie of an allergic reaction he had, which was just terrific.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens a number of times,
Yes.
then it could actually set up an inflammatory pathway, which may end up giving him sore joints. So that's the nasty, insidious nature of fibromyalgia.
It's an evil, evil disease, isn't it?
And I think becoming more common, because the biggest driver of inflammation in our life currently is stress. So if you're a stressed individual, and remember, we live in a 24-hour society. Back when great-grandpa Blackman lived in a cave and he'd come out in the daytime and kill something and take it back in, and that was the extent of his stress. That was to keep him alive.
Yeah.
These days, we come out of our caves as we wake up in the morning.
Yes.
And it's ongoing news, often doomy sort of news, ongoing, everywhere we go, newspapers. So we are subjected to stress all the time.
Well, Gerald, now, what are some of the ways to fix this this ongoing pain and inflammation? I mean, does acupuncture help?
Acupuncture actually can contribute a lot to relieving the localised pain. We sometimes dismiss acupuncture as just a bit wacky. I have a couple of principles of acupuncture. You see a Chinese acupuncturist and you can ask what experience they've had. And the acupuncture probably, in my view, be the primary modality they practice. So you don't go and see someone who just does a little bit of acupuncture. You see the person who does acupuncture all the time because they will give you the best results.
What about sound wave therapy? Now, I've heard that works.
Yes, sound wave therapy. I was only reading this morning that sound wave therapy was applied to a forearm for 20 minutes and that person's blood pressure dropped. You reduce inflammation, things come back to normal. Blood pressure comes back, cholesterol comes back, pain levels drop, and bone mineral density increases. So sound wave therapy, big in Europe. I think we're probably 15 years behind in Australia. Let's hope one day it comes.
Well, for listeners listening with fibromyalgia,
Yes.
I mean, where do you get the sound wave therapy? I mean, I've never heard of a sound wave therapist.
No, it's a chair. It's a chair that you sit in, and sound waves are passed back and forth through your body. So it might be a half-hour session. You don't feel anything.
It sounds like hocus pocus to me, Gerald, quite frankly.
John, if a person doubled over in pain, gets up half an hour later and says, my pain is gone.
It's a miracle.
No, it's not. It just means that he's had he or she's had a temporary lapse in the pain levels. So you can have regular sessions on that.
Okay.
There are some clinics around, and certainly if you want to know more, just a matter of sending an email through our
and you can
PAIN Persists website.
You can pass it on.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
And just very quickly before we say ta-ta, massage, does that help?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Massage reduces, although bear in mind we've got a person here with sore joints. So massage is probably the sort of thing you'd have once it's under control. Finish the steroid course, get your quality of life back. Do you have a massage?
Yeah, every now and then.
Really? Do you go to a man or a lady?
I think we've run out of time, Gerald.
I go to a lady.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have a massage every week for 1 hour.
Ah, okay. Goodness me! Looking at the clock on the wall, I see our time is up. Now, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask about fibromyalgia, how do you say it again?
Fibromyalgia. That's very good. You've been listening.
Yeah, spell it exactly as it sounds. Just go to our website, if pain persists, and go to the contacts or the links, and Gerald will make sure he answers your question either in person or we might even do a topic on it on the podcast.
We'd be delighted to do that, but the important thing is get it fixed.
Yes. Get it. That's what we should have called this segment. Get it fixed.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you for listening to If Pain Persists. This podcast is hosted by John Blackman and Gerald Quigley. Remember to visit the website, ifpainpersists.com. This is where you'll find show notes and you can ask questions about your health and well-being on Gerald's blog. And you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Stay tuned and subscribe to If Pain Persists on iTunes. It's free. This show is produced by Media Man Productions. Until next time, stay healthy and happy.